We're going back to Philly. Tobias Harris gets both free throws, and the Sixers force Game 7. Both series in the Eastern Conference semifinals are headed to a Game 7.
This is nothing but that sports talk.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Hawks have to go through a Game 7 in order to get to the conference finals. As I welcome you to this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk, we got special guest sitting right here in the room. The lead has actually been to the Hawks and Sixers game. Let everybody know who you are.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for having me. I am Janay, or Janay Rachelle, known to a lot of other people. I am a freelance now sports journalist and reporter. I'm the host of a podcast called Shh, The Game Is On, where I bring on lots of different journalists and just people that are in the know, preferably women, keeping the voice of women first. And we just discuss all things sports related. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm a basketball fanatic, both for the females and the males.
Wow, that's amazing. And I know you really, where are you based in?
Well, right now I just recently moved to Atlanta, but I had spent the last 5 years covering all of Washington, D.C. sports teams, both the Washington Wizards and the Washington Mystics. And there are our G League team too, the Capital City Go-Go's. So I've kind of, made my mark in DC as far as it pertains to their basketball teams.
Wow, you're basketball all over the place.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about what it's like covering the Washington teams, including the Mystics championship teams in 2018 and 19?
Best experience of my life, my professional career in my life, both of them. It was a very, very, it felt good to be a part of franchise history that year. It was some really, really, really good bump. And they had a really, really good team. So it was kind of amazing to be able to, that was also the first year that they were able to play in the entertainment sports arena. So a lot of Washingtonians took a lot of pride in not only, them winning, but, a lot of the WNBA, lovers and appreciators of it in Washington, D.C. were happy to finally have their own arena as well as the fans. So it was really good to kind of, make their mark in their new arena the same year that they got it. So it was just a really amazing all around season. The highs, the lows, Lena Delle Donne had to deal with her injuries throughout their playoff run, Christy Tolliver as well. So you were able to see a lot of young talent then step up, and seeing them play now, it's by no surprise. Ariel Atkins, Ariel Powers, who's no longer with them, it was a good experience. I really, really appreciated it, and, definitely hope that they can bring another championship to Washington, D.C. It's so sad, too, that they weren't able to get their parade, but, it doesn't take away from the victory and, the fact that they are a former championship team.
Exactly. And it's also sad that at the WNBA Wobble, they lost at the buzzer to one of the players from that championship team. And I know that was kind of tough to swallow back then.
Yeah, it definitely was. It definitely was. But I think it also kind of spoke volumes to today. Again, they were there playing without, two of their heavy hitters, Lena Delle Donne and Tina Charles. So again, it was another opportunity for, somebody else to step up. And we saw how phenomenal Maisha Hines-Allens was during the bubble for the Washington Mystics last year. So it definitely shows a lot of credit to, that team's foundation, and, how they literally just live by the next man up mentality.
Okay, so that's crazy. Washington, not only they proved a lot, they added Tina Charles, and they're about to so start. I mean, they've had back-to-back losses against Chicago and Phoenix, but what you expect? You're going up against some of the top players in the WNBA, and it's a 25th anniversary season.
Yeah.
What you think in WNBA 25? Like, what goes through your mind?
Man, wow. I mean, it's exciting. It's a lot of different feelings, to see where it is now, where it has grown, it's amazing to me. And it honestly just gives me hope for how much further the WNBA can honestly go. I look forward to what a 50-year counted twice. Maybe that's what they'll call it then. If the 25 years counted, maybe by year 50, it'll be counted twice. Where, I'm just excited to see where it could go. Thus far, I've been completely satisfied with all the things that they have, tried to add to the game with this 25th year rollout, the Commissioner's Cup, the boards that they have. They've done phenomenal things to really help to expand this league. Hopefully, sooner rather than later, we'll get another team. But I think we have definitely made some progressive strides, and for that I am extremely grateful and excited.
Exactly, and it's because of WNBA. When it was lacking media coverage, it attracted a lot of top media professionals that we see today, like Ari Chalmers, Monica McNutt, and Christina Williams, who I've had as a special guest on this podcast, by the way, a while back. Not to mention this young 10-year-old girl named Pepper Pursley. She's covering it. You got Erica Ayala, you got LaChina Robinson, Rose. The whole tradition of covering WNBA goes on. Even I got a chance to cover it. Of course, it's been done virtual, and I've actually interviewed some of the players, including Ariel Atkins and Natasha Cloud, for the Washington Wizards, and they showed a lot of energy during these press conferences.
Yeah, well, you're a heavy hitter. You had some chance to talk to some heavy hitters, and you've done some heavy hitter things. So yeah, that's amazing. I love anybody that's excited about the WNBA, regardless if they are a reporter or a fan or a player. I mean, I really feel like, they really, really get underlooked and underdeserved for all the effort that they put forth, and I'm glad that the narrative is getting to change as, we continue to just shine so much light on all those phenomenal athletes of the WNBA.
Exactly. Now, why don't you tell me a little bit about some of the WNBA drills that you admire?
Players or reporters?
Reporters.
Oh, well, you named a couple. Monica McNutt had a great opportunity to work with her in DC. We actually worked for the Roundball Report, so we were able to co-report for it. Love her, phenomenal. So excited and just so happy to see her career blossom as much as it has. Angela Gray, she's another phenomenal woman. What they're doing there in Atlanta. Her and LaChina, I mean, that's awesome. As a Black woman, I just take so much pride in that. It's just amazing to see. Tykera Carter, she does a lot of WNBA work as well. I don't know if you know about her, but she's phenomenal.
I know about Tykera Carter. She's actually a special guest on my show. I know we started to cut you off, but she's actually was a special guest on my show back like months before she got the job working for the WNBA and the NBA.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal. And she always talked about how talented Monica McNutt was. Yeah,
definitely was. And that the great thing about Monica McNutt is just, she just has that very warm and welcoming spirit. You know what I mean? She just brings so much energy to her work, and you have no choice but to respect it. So very much like Ari Chambers as well, another phenomenal woman who brings that same type of excitement to it. Christina Williams, another one, Girls Talk Sport. I mean, it's a lot of great women who have their hand. I'm not trying to limit anybody because I'm sure there's somebody that I'm forgetting. But those are just some of the ones that come to my mind off the rip. And again, I appreciate all of their work and all that they give to the game.
And you got to see them all at once when you were covering the Washington Mystics for the Roundball Report. And
yes.
And earlier this season, I should say, the Washington Wizards did get eliminated the first time by the 76ers. But at the very least, you got one game for them. Not to mention the fan incident that happened in Game 4.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Say that again. I'm sorry.
I said at the very least, the Washington Wizards this year, they made it to the playoffs. They got past the play-in tournament, and they got one game for the top seeded Philadelphia 76ers, who are currently in the middle of a 7-game series against the Atlanta Hawks, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast. Like, what are your impressions about the way that the Washington Wizards play?
Honestly, I think that the Washington Wizards, something, I hate to make excuses. I'm not an excuses person. I'm really not, I promise. But the reality of things is that I believe that if we kind of evaluate their whole 2020-2021 season, I mean, everybody's playing in weird times right now with this COVID, situation going on right now. They were a team that took a major hit due to the COVID protocols. They're missing a whole bunch of games because of that. They had the injury bug that affected them a little bit earlier. And even kind of up until like a month and a half before, the playoffs began, they were still dealing with injury bugs. So I think a healthy squad, a more consistent, healthy squad, we would have saw them not maybe get as low seeded as they did. I definitely think that they were able to compete amongst some of the elite teams in the East. No, I would be lying to say that they finished within the top 5, but I definitely think that, with a new coach next season and, if they kind of keep the same core, I think they were on to something. And I'm excited to see where it goes. But overall, this 2021 season, I definitely think it was a true testament to the fight that lies within the Washington Wizards, which, a lot of people counted out very early in the season.
And not to mention, there was a team where Russell Westbrook surpassed Oscar Robertson for the most triple doubles in NBA history. That is a season on its own. On the
definitely got robbed. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I definitely think, you say that stat, and then he doesn't even get listed as all NBA. You could debate if that was fair or not.
Yeah, it's kind of mixed feelings between Russell Westbrook because he did have a phenomenal season while playing for the Washington Wizards, who got bounced in the first round. Not to mention the unexpected late collapse against the current second-seeded Brooklyn Nets earlier this year.
Yeah. I was definitely banking for them to beat Philly. Beat Boston so that they could have the opportunity to play Philly in that first round. But, it worked out how it worked out. I think they still gave Philly a nice punch. I think a lot of people, again, counted them out and expected them to be swept, and they were able to steal one. So I think that speaks a little bit of volumes to who they are and, this team, that we saw throughout the ups and downs throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I know. Washington, they've had a pretty good season, but on to another topic. I know you was at the Atlanta Hawks game. Why don't you tell me how much you enjoyed watching the Atlanta Hawks up until, of course, the Philadelphia 76ers forced a Game 7?
Yes. Well, I will first say that, wow. So I have covered a lot of professional playoff basketball games, right? And as you know, as a reporter, as somebody, a media member, it's a little bit different covering it and just being there spectating. So this is like my first time in a while spectating a professional playoff basketball game. And I really enjoyed it. And the energy in there, just being able to be a part of it was amazing. That Atlanta Hawks team is it's a young team that really don't play scared. They don't play scared. To just sum it up, they do not play scared. And I feel like because they don't play scared, it has allowed them to get this far. A lot of people counted them out with the Knicks, but you got a young leader in Trae Young who's fierce and feisty and playing with a chip on his shoulder. You have put him around a whole bunch of other young guys, John Collins, Gallinari, got Capella, veteran Lou. It really kind of helps to really build the confidence of that young team. I have them personally coming out and winning the Game 7. I think that they will be able to come back to a Game 7. I think Philly messed up when Philly allowed them, when they put themselves in a situation for it to come down to a Game 7, if I'm honest. And I do think that these young guys, I think they're here. And I think that I think Philly, and to not to ever, poke fun at people's injuries, but I think that Philly's a little worn down right now. As we know, Joel Embiid is, battling through his knee injury, and a lot of mental battles there with, Ben Simmons, as we've seen him throughout this playoff, and people just really kind of doubting him out. I think Atlanta's in a great position to kind of steal this and run with it.
And not to mention the fact that these Hawks always goes on runs. And I was told this earlier today by a friend before I got on this podcast that it always goes down to who has the craziest run during a playoff game. The Hawks have had crazy runs like literally throughout this whole entire playoff run. When they took out the Knicks in 5 games, the 2 games at home really helped them get that series win. And the way they've been holding their own against the Philadelphia 76ers, who would have thought they would have lasted until a Game 7 and come from behind to win that Game 5, having people thinking, well, the 76ers do not win Game 6 and win Game 7 and get to the conference finals. They're going to blow up the team.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would, not that I'm saying that that's what they should do, but I feel like it would be very well understood if they did, because how long are we going to trust the process, as they say? How long do they expect us to trust the process? I think it's time to start evaluating, some of those big players that they're paying big money for. I mean, Tobias Harris definitely made up for it in Game 6 yesterday, was way heavier on the boards, but let's not forget Game 5. I mean, you are getting paid over $30 million and you gave us 4 points. That's absolutely unacceptable. So I definitely think that, during this offseason, if they do not make it, I'm gonna just say flat, if they do not make it to the finals, a lot of conversation will be had.
Yeah, really would. But on to another gear real quick. Tonight, the Brooklyn Nets face the Brooklyn Nets face the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 7. And as a New York sports guy, this is one of those games where we can get nervous. I mean, I don't know if you're an Atlanta Hawks fan, but the matchup for the Eastern Conference is going to be decided tomorrow. And honestly, I'm predicting Brooklyn versus Atlanta just because I'd like to see the Brooklyn Nets have like an easier shot to get to the finals. What do you think is going to happen in these Game 7s?
We almost were friends until you said that you wanted the Brooklyn Nets to head. You wanted the Brooklyn Nets to head to the finals. I am a Bron fan. I've always been a Bron fan, and I just am not feeling the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, I love KD. I'm a hometown girl. I mean, he's from Maryland, phenomenal athlete. Would be a fool to not acknowledge him as an athlete. But I put it this way: Brooklyn Nets are supposed to beat the Bucks, right? But I think the Bucks have a great chance at beating the Brooklyn Nets. And for that, I'm going to bank on the Brooklyn Nets winning Game 7 tonight in Brooklyn. It's going to have to take another strong game from Chris Middleton. We know Giannis is capable of a double-double. If he could just kind of minimize some of his mistakes down the game and give us a little bit more defensively, then I feel as though, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. I expect a phenomenal and big game from Kevin Durant. I do. But will it be enough? I think that's up in the air. And if it is, I mean, we could have a Bucks versus Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know. I'm just not completely sold on the idea that Brooklyn will win it. I mean, we kind of seen them get a little exposed,
Yeah, we really have. To be fair, Brooklyn could not get a win in Milwaukee. If they had gotten at least one win in Milwaukee, the series would have been over. When they were down 17 in Game 5, it was nerve-wracking. I'm like, no, we're not going to win the series. And Kevin Durant went off for 49. Rucker Park, Kevin Durant came to play. I don't know if you got to look back at older footage where he's dropped 66 at a game at Rucker Park, because that's the Kevin Durant that we saw in Game 5.
Oh, I'll take it a step further. I mean, like I said, he's a Maryland boy. Most Maryland people know Berry Farms. That's like the DMV's, Rutgers Park, I guess you could say. And I mean, he balled phenomenal there. I mean, we know Kevin Durant's going to be Kevin Durant. There's no question about that at all. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, we got what we want. They say most playoffs don't start until somebody wins a game.
Yeah, I know.
Court. And I don't know, it's a Game 7. This is what you want. This is playoff basketball. This is what you want. It's win or go home. And I think, the beam tonight. I really do.
Yeah. Now on to a very good matchup as the Los Angeles Clippers, thanks to Terrence Mann. Not Paul George, not Kawhi Leonard. Terrence Mann is going off. He led the charge for the Los Angeles Clippers on the way towards getting to the first conference finals in franchise history. Finally, you don't have to worry about the Clippers not getting to the conference finals, let alone the NBA finals. Do you see them taking out the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference Finals?
I really like how you emphasize Terrence Mann. You cannot skate over 39 points. Yes, Paul George did have a a great game and, did some great things last night. But Terrence Mann is the reason why they won that game. Let's be very clear. I don't have them beating Phoenix, especially not without Kawhi, which right now it's looking like, with the seriousness of his injury, they may have to continue to play without him. So I do not see them beating Phoenix. I think this is still the Clippers team that we know them to be honest. I don't expect them to take them out. I don't. I think it'll be a game 6, but I think it will fall in Phoenix's favor. Those young guys, another group of young guys, they just were able to take out LeBron James, and then they were able to sweep through the Denver Nuggets. I think that their confidence right now is a little bit different, but I don't think it'll be an easy one for sure, but I have Phoenix coming out of the West.
Yeah, I'm not even surprised because you mentioned them taking out LeBron James in the first round. Yeah, it was about time LeBron lost in the first round. How frustrating is it that happened?
Oh, it was very frustrating that they were even in the position. That's my irritation. I'm sad. I was upset and bothered they were even put in that position. Bron goes down and it's like a night and day, Lakers, they lose momentum completely. Let's not forget they had to fight to even get in the playoffs. So to even put themselves in that position was very frustrating to me. But they got battled by the injury bugs, and players, could have done more to step up to kind of, compensate for that lapse. And, missing Anthony Davis quite a bit of time, LeBron, Dennis Schroeder. So it was disappointing to say the least, but at the same time, not to take anything away from Phoenix Suns' effort. CP3 led them, phenomenally. Devin Booker, it was his night almost every single night. DeAndre Ayton was able to, the games that Anthony Davis did play, was able to shut him down and slow him down completely. Cameron Payne stepped up tremendously for them. Jay Crowder did a phenomenal job, guarding Bron and such. So, it's sad and disappointing as it was as a Bron fan to watch the Lakers lose like that. I'd be a fool not to sit here and applaud Phoenix Suns' efforts.
Yeah, you got to applaud their efforts. And but it doesn't hurt to lose in the first round this time around because LeBron has been undefeated in the first round every year up until this year. So it's about time he took a first round L here. The guy's been through 10 NBA Finals in an 11-year span. This loss hurt LeBron James' career. Be honest.
I don't think it did. It was the first time. It was the first time. I don't think it did. And like I said, I personally believe that all that they were up against, I don't think anybody really, prior to them getting hurt, everybody had them coming out the West, but I think around, the tail end of that season, I don't think it hurts his career. This is the first loss on your record. And as far as I'm concerned, as of right now, if we want to go by the book, LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers are still the reigning champions, and LeBron James is still the reigning MVP. Reigning finals MVP. So I personally don't believe that it teeters away from his career at all. Disappointing, yes. Is it a career hit? No.
Exactly. And you know what? You could always catch LeBron James in the upcoming Space Jam movie. But let's get into that a little bit. What's your excitement level for the upcoming Space Jam movie that's featuring LeBron James? And will it be just as good as Michael Jordan's Space Jam movie?
I don't. I don't think so at all. I'm going to watch it just because I feel like the anticipation is there. But I didn't think that there needed to be a remake of Space Jam. Space Jam 1 is such a classic, and it has the all-time Michael Jordan in it. So, I'm very curious. I'm going to watch it because I'm curious to see what a Space Jam 2 would look like, but I don't think it's going to be better than the original Space Jam.
Yeah, when it first came out, I thought they were going to use actual basketball players in their actual forms when they faced LeBron James. But come on, you got Diana Taurasi looking like a bug. You got Klay Thompson in flames. You got Damian Lillard being a robot, and Nika Gumic. I don't know what did I just watch? I understand it's a cartoon movie, but we could do better than that. But I'm definitely gonna watch it because it's LeBron James.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even if it's to critique it, I mean, I feel like it still is worth a watch. I just don't know, like, some movies, you see how, like, a Bad Boys, right? Bad Boys 1 ends. You see where Bad Boys 2 could pick up. Bad Boy 2 ends. You see where Bad Boy 3 could pick up. I think with Space Jam end, I didn't see where you could pick it up. So I'm watching primarily to see how does this continue, or how is it redone? Like, what is it like?
Yeah, but it's good to get some more Looney Tunes content in this generation, because Looney Tunes, they're like the fan favorites of generations.
Yeah.
Like Bugs Bunnies, the Daffy Ducks. I actually had a chance to interview the actor who plays both Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck at a park in Ronnie Park North, where they did like some kind of basketball event, and he just interviewed him as Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny. It's so entertaining.
Wow, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. I mean, yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, but back to the WNBA. Like, which team has impressed you the most so far? Impressed
me the most, definitely the Connecticut Suns. Prior to Jonquel Jones's absence, I think they have been playing phenomenal ball. She was well on the brinks of MVP talk and kind of stealing, the MVP. So overall this season, they have impressed me the most. And I'm looking to see, how they compete for the remainder of this season. But I like the Connecticut Suns a lot. Las Vegas Aces as well. I mean, not the most impressive, but I mean, because they were, they were in the finals last year up against Seattle, even though they lost. So, the momentum was there. But I definitely think Chelsea Gray's pickup definitely helped them out phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, I probably those two teams have probably been able to impress me the most. Still rooting for those Mystics somehow to, make their print on it. But yeah. Those two right now. How about
the Mystics did manage to pick up a good win against the Atlanta Dream, who led by Courtney Williams, who hit a game-winning shot off the New York Liberty. I was at that game, by the way. But anyway, to stay on topic, Washington Mystics should be in the postseason if they keep up the momentum that they picked up for the win against the Atlanta Dream.
Yeah. Definitely agree. Atlanta Dream is, how could I forget? Atlanta Dream is another team that I have genuinely enjoyed watching. I think, like you just mentioned, Courtney Williams is working out phenomenal with them right now. So I definitely think that I think they could upset somebody come postseason, for sure.
Yeah, they have that potential to upset, especially when you're led by Courtney Williams. She's like their Trae Young.
Yeah.
And then you add Cheyenne Parker. I even covered them too. They know what it takes to win. And when I interviewed the intern coach, Mike,
yeah.
He said that I asked him, like, your team is very scrappy. He's like, it's who we are. Yeah, they're very scrappy.
Yeah, and then you add Ari McDonald, and it's like, okay, that just adds fuel on top of the already fire. So yeah, definitely excited to see them, advance. I don't think that their record defines the team that they are. Let me just say that.
Yeah, and Eric McDonald, it's going to take time for offense to get used to playing in the WNBA, especially since she couldn't hit a game-winning shot off the Stanford Cardinals in the finals of the NCAA tournament last spring. But yeah, it's going to take time to get us into the WNBA.
I think so. I mean, you have that adjustment, but I feel like she can still insert herself in other ways. So I'm not worried about her, finding her place at all in the WNBA.
Yeah, and you know what? This WNBA league started where it's New York Liberty going up against Los Angeles Sparks back in 1997. If you remember that game, either you watched it or you at least seen footage or at least acknowledged WNBA, what went through your mind? Even at least knowing that the Liberty and Sparks, the OG teams, went off in the first season of the league.
Oh, wow. You're talking about the first game of this season, correct?
No, the first game back in the 97, like when the Liberty and Sparks start off the franchise, so off the whole league itself back in 97.
It just got me excited and pumped up for, women's basketball, so definitely set the tone.
Yeah, I'm not even surprised. I mean, the New York Liberty, while they haven't been able to get a championship win just yet, don't say the Sparks, they've had some championship seasons against the New York Liberty in the finals, but they managed to beat them both times. And then the most recent one, of course, the one that was led by both the Agumik Sixers and Kansas Parker back in 2016 against the Minnesota Lynx. That finish alone was just legendary.
Yeah, I think we all have kind of built our hope, being that a woman, Janay and Nneka are still there. I think a lot of us still look at those Sparks as that team that's still capable of getting another championship or going on another championship run. Even though, of course, their backbone, bread and butter, Candace Parker, is now in Chicago, I do think a lot of people still believe in the ability of the Sparks.
I mean, why not? They added Amanda Zari who can shoot threes, and they also added Erica Wheeler. And, well, of course, Janay and Nneka are going through injuries, but when they come back, I'm sure they're going to get them into the postseason.
For sure.
Yeah, this is a lot of excitement going on in the WNBA, and I can't wait to see how it ends. As we conclude this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk, thank you for stopping by, Janay Rachelle. And to all the balls out there, get your head in the game.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. I really appreciate it. Make sure you follow me on all my socials. I am Janay Rachelle, and you can see everything else in my bio. So thank you so much for having me today.
No problem.